Yes, people, welcome to Footy Fans TV. Don't forget about our £500 cash and Yeezy giveaway. For more information about that, head over to our Instagram bio. All the information's in there. As with always, this is a roundup of all the news from the last 24 hours, so let's go. Starting off with Manchester City, their Twitter account has mysteriously disappeared. So they've said that it's not a hack, nothing's happened like that. They think that the issue is with Twitter, there's some kind of technical malfunction, but as of this morning, it completely went down. Everyone was a little bit confused about that, so hopefully it'll be back up and running for them. I'm sure their 8.5 million followers will be pleased once it's all functioning. And then we get on to their neighbours in the red half of Manchester. So we understand that Solskjaer had 3 players on his summer transfer request list that never materialised. So number 1 was Jadon Sancho, which everyone knows about. Number 2 was Jack Grealish. And number 3 was Dayot Upamecano from RB Leipzig. Now, he went to the board and specifically asked for all 3 of those players, or at least, a number, either 1 or 2 of those players. He ended up getting none of them. What he did end up getting was a 33-year-old striker whose best years are probably behind him, and Alex Telles from Porto, and of course Donny van der Beek, who looks like an up-and-coming talent. What seems very apparent to us, though, is that Solskjaer definitely doesn't have the backing of this board. Yes, he may not be the most experienced manager, but if you're not going to put money behind him, you're not going to put trust behind him to help build out a team that's lacking in a number of positions, what chance are you giving the guy of being successful? And one of those players that we just mentioned is Edinson Cavani. So we understand that he considered quitting football altogether just a few months ago. His girlfriend had coronavirus, COVID-19. It was really bad from what he was saying, and it put a lot of pressure on him, on his family. He reassessed a lot of things, and he's come out publicly and said that he'd just considered packing everything up, going and living in the countryside, and basically enjoying life, not playing professional football. Let's see how he does now that he's at Manchester United. And still staying with one of those players, obviously one of the most coveted players in European football at the moment, probably world football, Jadon Sancho. Now, we understand that Liverpool, specifically Jurgen Klopp, was interested in signing Sancho, but he believed that Manchester United were in the pole position to get the player and therefore never really pursued it. Now, I don't know if that's just him talking up for the media or trying to cause a situation. I personally don't know if Liverpool have 120 million euros to spend on a Jadon Sancho, but they will need to replace Salah and Mane at some point. Maybe if someone comes in and buys one of those players, it will make extra funds available. But what we're now understanding is that Sancho's not happy with the way the Manchester United situation was handled, and that Liverpool and Bayern Munich now have a stronger likelihood of signing the player next summer when they can come back in for him, or maybe even in the January transfer window. We'll see what happens there. Sticking with Liverpool, and they've been linked with a move for a keeper. Now, the Premier League transfer window has shut, so you can no longer sell players, but the Championship you can still buy players from, and they're still allowed to sell players as well. So Liverpool are being linked with both Paul Robinson and Jack Butland. Now, either one of those 2 keepers, they're proven, they've played in the Premier League, and you would say that they're probably better than Adrian based on his most recent performance, losing 7-2 to Aston Villa. And we'll finish up on Mo Salah. He's an amazing guy, brilliant on the pitch, but apparently he's also brilliant off of the pitch. So there's a story that's just come out. He was at a petrol station in Liverpool when Liverpool had just beat Arsenal 3-1, and he saw a homeless man being bullied by a bunch of youths. He went over to them and basically stopped it right there, told them, you shouldn't be doing this, what's wrong with you, leave the guy alone, shooed them off, and then made sure that the homeless guy was okay, then went to the cash point, drew out £100 and gave it to him. This is the story as recounted by the homeless person. So this isn't Mo Salah coming out and saying any of this. This is the homeless person who's given his version of events of what happened. So hats off to Mo, true gentleman for doing something like that. Now moving over to Chelsea, and Joachim Löw of Germany, the international manager, has said that Rudiger was blocked from moving away from Stamford Bridge. On deadline day, we understand that they stopped answering calls for the defender, and there were about 4 clubs that were in for him, but they didn't want to let him go. Seems a little bit strange given how many options they have in the defensive positions, but they may be thinking if it doesn't work out with Zuma and Christensen and Thiago Silva, they want another option in the centre-back position. And then we get to Arsenal. Now, we understand that they turned down a very late bid from Paris Saint-Germain for Socrates. Once again, seems a little bit bizarre because we were under the impression that they were trying to get rid of centre-backs, seeing as they have so many, and Sokratis isn't really high up on that list. If you think of David Luiz, Gabriel, Pablo Mari, they've got a number of options back there. Even Saliba, Holding, Chambers can play there. Sokratis isn't really going to get that much game time, barring a major catastrophe, but we understand that they did turn down a very late approach from PSG because they decided they wanted to keep hold of him. And then a former Arsenal player that's been in the news recently, Jack Wilshere, terminated his contract by mutual consent at West Ham. West Ham basically saying that they let the player move on. Wilshere saying that he's been very fit for the last few months, but they've chosen not to play him. Whatever politics is going on there, I'm sure we'll never know the full story, but it looks like he's very close to a move to Rangers in the Scottish League. Don't know how I feel about that one. Maybe he's thinking guaranteed playing time, moving away from London, all of the headache, all of the drama, Champions League football. Let's see what happens. And we'll wrap up in La Liga with Barcelona. Now, we understand that Messi is very, very frustrated that the club didn't manage to move on Ousmane Dembele and Samuel Umtiti. He thinks both of those players are surplus to requirements. They never should have been signed. They're average players. And the fact that the club weren't able to get them out of the door permanently is causing a lot of frustration for him. He was very vocal about his desire to leave the club because they haven't achieved what his ambitions are. So it's not surprising, if this is indeed true, that he's frustrated that they're not able to move on the quote-unquote dead weight. And then we get on to Bartomeu of Barcelona. He's just had a vote of no confidence. Now, what that means is they've basically voted against him to say that they want him out of the club. There's a first round of voting that's happened, and now it's going to go to a second round of voting. Now, if that also shows a vote of no confidence, he could be out before Christmas. Before the end of this year, he could be out as a Barcelona president. And sticking with turbulence at Barcelona, they're talking about reducing all of the players' salaries. Now, Article 41 of the Workers' Statute means that if Barcelona do that in such a way that they reduce the players' salaries without their consent, without them wishing to do so, every single one of those players can leave Barcelona for free next summer. So that will be a very, very tricky situation. Barcelona are reviewing all of the legal terms, all of the wording of these new revised contracts that they're going to put in front of the players. But again, seems like there's a lot of issues at Barcelona. This pandemic is causing a lot of problems for everyone, not just in the world of football, but we see here that it's also impacting the biggest and boldest clubs out there. And that's it. We hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.